has officially landed in Orlando this 5 days after the rest of the team arrived. No explanation why. Nick, can Rockets fans now breathe a little sigh of relief?
Well, the first half of a sigh of relief, Jenna, it won't be complete until Russ fully clears the COVID protocol and Russ gets back and you find out that he's fully healthy as well. Obviously, the Rockets' entire championship hopes, Wilds, rely on Russ and Harden both being A-plus players throughout the playoff run. So I don't think it's a huge deal that Harden wasn't there early or there with the rest of the guys, but they got to get Russ there as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Russ's return. We see Donovan's back in the bubble, and he looks great, and Jokic just came back too, so speedy recovery to Russ.
Yeah, it could have been a huge concern if it would have got any longer.
Moving on to some football where Blonde is back. Odell Beckham has officially returned to his unnatural hair color, with OBJ saying, quote, "This year, I'm trying to kill. I want the opportunity to catch the ball." Greg, I don't see the connection, but I've also never been a blonde. You expect a big season out of Odell in Cleveland?
You know what? I do, and I do see the connection. Anytime you feel like you've not been allowed to be who you really are and be authentic and organic to that, you can't produce what has always been in you. And I truly believe that we as people have to embrace others just the way they are, whatever that presentation looks like, however different it is, just embrace it and accept the fact that they're different than you, and that's okay, because that's what makes us all unique. And I think that Odell Beckham is finally realizing that I'm not the same as anyone else. I can't pretend to be, and this is what makes me special.
You know what it reminded me of when Odell cut his hair and he got rid of the blonde? LeBron's first year in Miami, when he's like, I'm going to be the villain. It's like, you're not comfortable being the villain. That's not who you are. Odell got to Cleveland. He's like, oh, I'm going to be more corporate, more buttoned up. That's not who he is. And then LeBron, his second year in Miami, said, man, I'm going to go back to being me. Odell's saying he's going to go back to being him. And by the way, just for the audience, because take integrity is so important, go look up some upstate New York yearbook photos from, I won't tell you the decade, probably the 80s, I would imagine, though. Jenna Wolfe with some blonde streaks, a la the Bangles singers or whomever you loved back then. Look it up. Look it up, America. It's there. It's there.
Don't look it up. It never happened.
It's true.
Yeah, okay.
It did. Streaks.
Don't look it up.
It's not streaks. On to the most recent Cleveland Brown, who's cashing in. 24-year-old defensive end Myles Garrett will reportedly sign a 5-year, $125 million extension. The Pro Bowler's put up 30.5 sacks in his first 3 seasons in Cleveland. Nick, is this money well spent?
Oh, it's money well spent. But this story also made me chuckle a bit, because the last time we saw Myles Garrett on the football field, he was bonking Mason Rudolph on the head with Mason's helmet. And in the 48 hours after that, the media, for lack of a better term, lost its collective minds. There was discussion about him being thrown in jail. There was discussion about multi-year banishments. It was the most grotesque act anyone had ever seen in the history of the NFL. And before he takes the field again, he's going to become the highest paid defensive player ever. Cleveland's like, we're so concerned about that. Here's $125 million, making you the highest paid guy on the team. Myles Garrett's an unbelievable player. That one incident obviously was a huge mistake by him, but the team, Wilds, knows the caliber of person he is. They're not worried about it. He's a sack-a-game guy the last couple of years. This is money well spent.
Yeah, the Browns also had the most cap space, Greg, so they had money to spend. I wonder if they make any more signings as we head towards the season.
Yeah, Nick, you hit it right on the head. The Browns understand and know the caliber player that they have in Myles Garrett, but also who he is as a person. They see him every day within that facility. They see him interact with the catering staff. They see him interact with the equipment staff. They see him interact with his teammates, so they know what they're getting in Myles Garrett. Money well spent.
All right, moving on to deadline day now, with the franchise tag deadline just hours away. Adam Schefter reporting Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys not expected to reach an agreement, which means Dak would play this season on the $31.4 million franchise tag. So, Nick, with that being said, what are the chances the Cowboys eventually just move on from Dak Prescott?
Oh, I think what's going to happen is, and I guess it's parsing the language, I think Dak's going to move on from the Cowboys. This deal is not going to get done today. And if it doesn't get done today, Dak Prescott is playing under the franchise tag for this season, which will mean he will go into next offseason with the option to sign a long-term extension with Dallas and only with Dallas, or take $38 million. And by the way, no matter what happens to the cap, no matter the ramifications of COVID, it's $38 million for Dak next year because it's 120% of what he's making this year. So option B is take $38 million and then become the most sought after in your prime free agent in the history of free agency. Because 28-year-old, fully healthy, Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks simply never hit the market. And if Dak was willing to roll the dice last year when he was making $2 million and had only made $2 million in his whole career, and he's willing to roll the dice this year when he's only made $4 million in his career and it's $31 million, going into next year, Greg, when he will have made $35 million playing for the Cowboys, have another $38 million guaranteed, I believe he'll roll the dice again, and then it becomes a league-wide auction, and I don't think the Cowboys will win that auction. So if they don't get a deal done today, I firmly believe Dak Prescott's playing for a different team in 2022.
Yeah, Nick, I hear you. I just don't see it happening simply because this Dallas Cowboy team has been set up for Dak Prescott. And when you look at what we all saw him as prior to the acquisition of Amari Cooper, prior to even the Ezekiel Elliott extension, like it was Ezekiel Elliott's team. It was Ezekiel Elliott is what makes this team go. And I think that's been the approach of the Dallas Cowboys up until we will see this year that they understand the importance of Dak Prescott. They may not value it like they did Ezekiel Elliott, but I think he will make them understand and know full right of who he is and what he provides as a quarterback in this league. I think he stays with the Dallas Cowboys after this year. I don't think they get a deal done by the end of day today, but I do think he will remain a Dallas Cowboy.
Greg, I agree with you. The fact that this team has been set up for Dak's success, it makes me think that he's going to stay there long term. CeeDee Lamb is going to fit perfectly. Mike McCarthy is like chomping at the bit to start playing with Dak. And Nick, you say that Dak is going to move on. Where are you moving on to? You're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. You want to go take $40 million to go play for the Panthers? Do you think that's going to lead you to longer term success and more financial security than playing on the #1 position in the #1 sport for the #1 team in the country? It's also ahistorical. The Cowboys are minting stars, and the guys don't leave. If we can run through the list, Don Meredith, famous Monday Night Football announcer, played 9 years, never played with another team. Roger Staubach, 11 years, never played with another team. Danny White, 13 years, never played with another team. Troy never played with another team. Tony Romo played for 14 years, never played with another team. The idea that Dak, who's going in his 5th year, would look at this list and say, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to go play for the Vikings in 2 years. I'm going to be the new Bears quarterback. There's a lot of good franchises in the NFL, but if he wins a Super Bowl in Dallas, he's not a great player. He's an all-time legend, Nick. And the fact that he would throw that away for, I don't know, $10 million on paper when there's more money coming if he can be successful in Dallas, feels penny wise and pound foolish to me.
Oh, maybe it is, but I can only judge his actions up to this point. He had an offer for an extension last year. He turned it down. He has an offer on the table right now that reportedly would pay him more money per year and guaranteed than any player in the history of the league other than Patrick Mahomes. And he is going to turn it down. And so then when next year comes around and the $38 million becomes the floor, and then he can talk to the whole league, and you mentioned these teams. What all those teams have in common, Wilds, the teams that could be looking for a quarterback, is over the last 25 years, maybe not more marketable, but they've been far more successful than Dallas. Dallas hadn't been to a conference forget Super Bowl, conference championship game in 25 years. Pittsburgh's going to need a quarterback in 2022. They have been, in the last 25 years, to 4 Super Bowls, and they've won 2 of them. Denver's been to 4 Super Bowls, and they've won 3 of them since Dallas has last been in a conference championship game. The Colts might need a quarterback. They've been to 2 Super Bowls and won 1 of them. Like, this idea, they're not